Okay, here's a question which is going to be very difficult for some of you to even hear, let alone try to answer. But for some of you, I think you'll enjoy this video. So let's see where it goes. My question is this: do you believe that the best version of you is still to come, or do you believe that you have already peaked? Serious question. I'm asking it because recently I officially completed one more trip around the sun, or the sun completed one more cycle around me, but that's a different question for a different day. The point of the matter is, I am 1 year older. And so I've been thinking lately about some of the things that I have accomplished in the past few years, but I've also been thinking about some of the time that I've wasted. And I've been thinking about, am I getting the balance right between trying to do things that are worth my time, and but also trying to find a break and just take it easy and relax and be unproductive. And striking that balance can be a difficult thing. In this video, I want to explore this idea that maybe each of us can, if we want to, improve ourselves, but some of us might already have it in our heads that we've already achieved what we can achieve. We can't achieve anymore. We can't improve anymore. And if we've got that idea in our head, then yeah, it's hopeless. It's a hopeless case. If you think that you've got no more improvement to do, then you cannot do any more improvement. Before we go further, let's take a look at this quote from Dale Carnegie. There's a good chance that you've heard of this guy, whether or not his name rings a bell. He wrote a book which changed the entire book industry. Look at that. What's that now? 80 years ago. And it was called How to Win Friends and Influence People. So you've probably heard of that as well. And he said, in the first chapter of the book, when dealing with people, let us remember, we are not dealing with creatures of logic. We are dealing with creatures of emotion, creatures bristling with prejudices and motivated by pride and vanity. Now, when Dale wrote that, if you read his whole book, he's not trying to say that he is better than the humans. One of the main themes in his book is this idea that we're all humans, so the first thing we need to do is identify our own failings and our own flaws, and then understand that the other humans around us, well, of course they're subject to the same flaws and the same failings. Because if we are, then why wouldn't they be? So rather than focus on their problems, why not focus on ours first, and then as we fix them, then and only then can we hope to assist anybody else. And so when I first read that book years ago, that book changed my life. And I've given that book to several people. I've given copies of that book to several people. A couple of them, I know for a fact they read it because I saw them change their outlook on life and they got more positive. But several of the people who I gave the book to, I'm very confident that they didn't read it. They just flicked through the book like normies do. Oh, I've got a book. I'll just flick through it. I'll come back and read it later. Most people don't read books. They like to pretend they're reading books, but they don't really read books. So anyway, I did read the book and it was life-changing for me. And so ever since then, and that was before I got into all of this content production, ever since then I've had this idea that, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my behavior is wrong, or maybe there's a better way for me to be. Maybe there's another perspective for me to consider. And I think by having that notion, this notion of, well, let's worry about my problems first and then worry about other people's problems later, this is the main thing that has allowed me to go from just being a regular chump, normie, to hosting my own podcast, to then becoming a genuine skeptic, to then becoming the world's leading skeptic, to then becoming the first person who apparently has worked out that Nikola Tesla is a hoax, first person who's worked out that Herodotus is a hoax, first person who's realized that the so-called scientists derived the mass of Earth from heavy balls in a shed, which is a ridiculous story. Why was I able to do all of that? Because rather than try and tell other people what the truth was, I was trying to work out, well, where do my beliefs come from? I assume that the experts know how much Mars weighs. I'm going to go find out what their story is, right? And if I'm wrong about that, I'll be the first to know, because I'm the one doing the work, okay? Nikola Tesla, all these people talking about Nikola Tesla. I'm not going to argue with people about Tesla until I've gone and looked into it for myself. What did I discover? Holy crap, blatantly fake character. And so the point of this is that by having this idea of, well, my mind could be wrong. My opinions could be wrong. My beliefs could be wrong. I've been wrong about so many things. Why can't this latest thing just be another example? By having this attitude, it seems to have been a huge part of me being able to just fly right through the scene and dominate it from more or less the time I got here, because I wasn't trying to dominate other people. I was just trying to tame my own mind. I was trying to work out, where the hell do I get these ridiculous beliefs from? Of course, in trying to convey some of what I've found, I have run up against people's emotion and their prejudices, and people who are too prideful to ever admit when they're wrong. And this is just the nature of this realm. As a person who wants to speak with other people, I've got to accept that just as I can be prideful or prejudiced sometimes, well, so can they. And I feel like I've made a lot of progress and inroads, but ultimately, I still make mistakes. I am still subject to foibles and to biases and these kinds of things. And so other people are as well. And unfortunately, there's a bunch of them who are subscribed to my YouTube channel who have made no progress in 3 or 4 years, and who will probably make no progress ever. But rather than judge them, I have to remember, well, maybe they have never read a book in their life. Maybe they have never had someone point out to them when they're wrong in a way that, conveyed that to them to make them be introspective. Like, who knows how people have ended up the way that they are? I've got a good idea of how I ended up the way that I am. But these people who are subscribed to my channel, who quite seriously look forward to my videos just to get triggered, who knows what the hell went wrong in their lives for them to end up in this place right now? Who knows? I want to move on to another quote now. This is Aldous Huxley, and this is another person who you would have all heard of. I'm sure many of you have bought a copy of his book, probably not read it though, because hey, reading books is hard. That all men are equal is a proposition to which, at ordinary times, no sane human being has ever given his assent. In other words, this idea that all people are equal is ridiculous. Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, he's saying the same thing. And Huxley wasn't just some random author. He was part of the Huxley clan, this family who were very influential and highly respected in fields of science. His grandfather was supposedly Charles Darwin's bulldog, is what he was known as, supposedly. Aldous Huxley's brother was a well-known, was it biology or botany? High up in science in Oxford or Cambridge, in one of these elite establishment institutions. This is a family who have probably more insight into the nature of the masses than just some random author. And here he is saying that men are not all equal, and anyone who assumes that they are is an idiot, okay? And that includes my former self. I grew up singing the Kumbaya and, we're all equal and blah, 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 blah. Took me a long time to realize that that is not the case. People are not all equal. They might all deserve equal treatment. They might all deserve equal rights under the law and these kinds of things. That's a different question. Are all people the same? No, they most certainly are not. Let's take a look at some photos of different body types. And these are before and after photos of people. We accept that the same person can be skinny and weak, and then a year or two later can be fit and strong. The same person. We can understand that there can be a big difference. This version of this guy could push this version around very easily. All other things being equal, in a fight, this guy is going to smash that guy. All other things being equal, in a game of football or lacrosse or water polo or any sport where physical strength is a prerequisite, this version of him is going to dominate this version of him. We all accept that. We all accept that. All right, and it's not just physical prowess, even just looks. These two dudes walk into the same nightclub. Which one of these two dudes is going to get the most attention from the girls? We all know the answer, okay? And this isn't two different people in a literal sense. This is the same guy, but there's a big difference between this version of him and this version of him. And we could just go through the whole list here. There's tons of them. Skinny version of the dude, less skinny version of the dude, and probably a more confident version of the dude. Let's see. Let's go here. We've got a flabby, typical outer suburban looking dude. Here we've got a fit, strong looking dude. Now we don't even know if this is like before and after. This could be before a car accident or before some kind of run of bad luck. and then he ends up completely out of shape. But the point remains the same. The one person can be so different as different versions, and people themselves can be so different. So the idea that every person who you see in a YouTube comment section is going to be as capable as the other person is ridiculous. In this sense, I'm looking at their physical characteristics, strength and muscle definition, and these kinds of things. But I'm going to suggest to you that the same is the case of people's intellect, of their thinking capacity, of their ability to critically analyze information, of their ability to research information. I'm going to suggest to you that when I first got into this scene back in 2013, intellectually, this was me. Today, this is me. All right? I'm going to suggest that when I first got into this scene, intellectually, this was me. Yeah, maybe a little bit stronger than most people intellectually because of my academic background and these kinds of things, but ultimately a flabby, right? Whereas this is me today intellectually. And why is this? Because I have spent so much time practicing skepticism, okay? I didn't look at myself in the mirror and say, yep, I've gone as far as I can go. I'm so smart. I'm going to be a part of some movement that's going to change the world. I've already learned the truth. I don't need to learn anything more. I've got nothing more to learn. No. I looked at myself and thought, crap, look at all these things I was wrong about. I truly believed I lived on a giant spinning ball, right? For no reason other than that's what everyone believed. So if I could have been wrong about that, what else could I be wrong about? And of course, over the next few years, I learned that I'd been wrong about so many things, and that is how I ended up crafting an intellect to be proud of. The same as this guy has crafted himself a body to be proud of. So I think you guys can probably get the analogy that I'm trying to make here. The idea that we're all the same. Oh, we all know the TV's lying, so we're all the same. No, that is not the case at all. Oh, we all know they're lying about the giant spinning ball, so we're all the same. No. Maybe there's a little Untermensch level of people who are all the same. Down at epsilon level, that's fine. But those people are not anywhere near my pay grade. They're nowhere near me. And the reason why, it's not because I'm inherently better than them. It's not because I'm a better person than them. It's because I was willing to admit that if I could be wrong about some things, there were other things I could be wrong about too. And I was willing to do the research for myself. But I don't just talk about these things, I show them as well. So here's what I'd like to show you. I'm going to share with you now some of the work that I'm most proud of, okay, from the last, 4 years of research and content production. I've put together now a collection of the articles and videos that I'm the most proud of. The work that I think truly sets me apart from everybody else. Take every other content creator in this scene, put them together, put all their best research together, not a blip on the radar compared to what I've done, in my opinion. And if you have a different opinion, that's totally cool. You'll get to analyze this for yourselves. So I'll put a link in the info box below. This is available completely free, no payment necessary. It's a 14-minute video that'll give you an idea of what the website is all about. And it'll be a link to a whole bunch of the articles that I've released over the years that I think are the most insightful. And the reason why I think they're the most insightful is because 4 of the members of my website who've been there pretty much since the start, people who have seen my website develop from basically a little shell with nothing there into what it is today with weekly member Skype calls and a lot of content that you won't find even anything close to anywhere else. These are people who've been there the whole time. And so I asked them, what do you think is the most important work for someone who's new to the website to become familiar with? What would you suggest? And every single one of them suggested this particular article, Primary Source Research Methodology. And then there was a general theme of the history hoax material, 37 things normies believe. There's a video where I go through the trivium. What is the trivium? What are people talking about? The practice of skepticism, which is a recent piece I released, and a couple of others as well. So I'm making all of these available completely for free. Some of them already were, like this one. Others were just available to members. They're all available now. And I think if you take the time to go through this work, you will see that just as in the real world, there's flab and then there's fab, the same is true of the alternative conspiracy truth realm. Almost every single person who you listen to in this scene is one of these, okay? They pretend that they're smart, they claim that they're smart, But really, they're not doing work, they're not doing research, they're not presenting new, novel ideas. They're not showing you the citations and the references that verify the claims that they're making. They don't do any of that. They're just storytellers. They're just flabby storytellers who put on a nice shirt and that's all they've got going for them. Whereas I think anybody who wants to and is willing to put in the effort, just as it would have taken this guy without steroids a couple of years to go from this to this, well, same thing with your intellect, same thing with thinking, same thing with skepticism. You don't go from being a moron, which is what school made you into. School turned you into a moron. This is not a secret. The information is all there. That's what school is there to do, to socialize, to normalize, to make everybody the same, to homogenize, to basically churn out a complete underclass of epsilons. That's what school is there to do. So if you've spent 12 years eating shitty food, you're not going to suddenly get a good intellect or start thinking for yourself in the space of one YouTube video. Doesn't work that way. Just as this guy didn't go from this to this overnight. I think, however, if you go and check out this material, you will see what the difference is, and then you'll be either inspired to want to improve yourself by truly reconsidering what you think you know, by implementing this research methodology on your own beliefs. Find out how much of what you think you know is real. You'll either be inspired to do that, or you'll realize that it's all too hard, much easier to go back to being flabby, and blaming the people who run the show for not telling you the truth. Oh, it's the people who run the show's fault. It's their fault that they put all this delicious food in the aisles at the supermarket. It's their fault that I can't control what I eat. It's their fault that I don't exercise. It's all their fault. It's all someone else's fault, right? Those are basically your two options. Either take responsibility for yourself or blame other people. And the fact of the matter is, the majority of people I interact with, they will always be making excuses. They will never take responsibility for themselves. And the more time that you spend around those kind of people, the more prone you'll be to their poor thinking patterns. Okay, it's contagious. Hang around with these kind of people, this is how you're going to be. Hang around with these kind of people, this is how you're going to be. And a lot of the men who are watching this video right now know exactly how true that is. They remember times when they've been around guys who are fit, looking after themselves, eating properly. They remember how much more they wanted to do that. They also know what it's like to hang around these kind of people or to live with these kind of people and how easy it is to fall into those kinds of traps, eating poorly, whatever. Well, same thing with your intellect. You want to hang out with the lobe busters and all these other idiots going around in circles for years and years, claiming they're going to bring down NASA or claiming that they've got this evidence to prove whatever nonsense they're claiming to prove, changing their stories whenever they get shown to be wrong. You want to hang out with those people, this is what you're going to be. You want to hang out with these kind of people, this is what you're going to be. That's my honest opinion, and again, the link is in the info box below. Go and check for yourself. Finally, let's check out old Papa Le Bon. Reading this guy's book changed my life back in late 2016, early 2017. And he wrote that the majority of men, especially among the masses, do not possess clear and reasoned ideas on any subject, whatever, outside their own speciality. This is the truth. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Once you learn how to think for yourself, how to deprogram yourself, how to get rid of all the nonsense beliefs that are currently clouding your mind, once you realize how to do that for yourself, you can become an expert in anything you want to become an expert in. Okay, it's simply a matter of learning and application. And of course, school was there to do the opposite, to convince us that we need an authority to know what the truth is. You don't need an authority. You'll become your own authority when you practice your thinking muscles, which is what I'm trying to encourage you to do. So check the link in the info box below. Check the link to this page. Go and watch this video, all available completely for free, and see what you think. But that will do us for today. So going back to my initial question at the start of the video, do you think your best is ahead of you? Or do you think you've already peaked? Do you think you've already worked it all out? You already know the truth and there's no more to learn. And right, you think for yourself, answer that question. And until next time, you guys take care of yourselves. Well, we'll just have to try and make do. Let's see how we go.